we can't truly identify exactly when certain things will happen, but long as it's happened within a general, maybe we're looking at a month or two or a year. So within that field, you just figure there's going to be some bumps and bruises along the way where you just make a little adjustment, but you get it. Like, okay, I'm patient, Lord. You want to wait till next month I get the Mercedes? I'm all right. I keep this jalopy a little longer because I know my ride is coming. So it's that. Next slide here. So when we right ahead and Van said yes. And so when things don't happen, go ahead and put up all the images up there. This brings about a feeling, stop there, of puzzlement, bewilderment. You want to pull your hair out. You just trying to figure things out. You're exasperated. And this is like a rubber band stretching. So you figure you're at your wit's end. Maybe some bills are due, facing foreclosure. Maybe you're needing, medical attention. There are people who have, stage 4 cancer. You're looking for the Lord to deliver. It was stage 1 and you prayed stage 2 and you prayed stage 3. Now it's 4. And it's like, Lord, come on now. Ain't no more stages after this. It's death. And so, and things have happened to people, followers of Christ. I'm not talking about people who have lived a certain way, but people who have held up the bloodstained banner. And you figure, like, I've been this close to God that surely he will alleviate my struggles and it's a trial. You figure it's a trial. And we know that Paul prayed how many times for this thorn to remove from his side? And that it didn't happen. And so here we find ourselves going through different experiences, and it rocks our world, physically and spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, financially, all the LYs you can think of. It has an impact because it seeps into other areas. Maybe it started out here, but now your mind is fixated on this issue, this concern. Food don't taste the same way sometimes. Being with family, things that you like doing, you say, nah, go ahead. I'll be okay. These are dark moments in life. This is what I'm talking about. When life doesn't go the way you plan. Next slide. And so we find ourselves, next slide, please. We find ourselves, the question is asked, who in here is living their plan A? Anybody? Living your plan A. And so we realized that there's been some adjustments along the way. And then I did the demonstration earlier, like when you look at yourself, what glass represent your life? Now, I need you to talk to me now. So this right here, give some information, but I need this to be an exchange. What glass up there represent your life? The second one? Tell me why.
It's half full. I mean, well, I have my 2 kids. They're healthy and happy and on a good track. I'm doing well financially. I own my own home. The only thing I'm missing is like the husband. I've been married twice. So having third time will be a charm, right? So, and I'm whole by myself, but everyone wants to have a partner. So
what glass represent your life?
I have to say ditto, but I choose to pick the full glass because I feel that I am at the mature age that I feel whole, filled. Even though we're missing a partner, but my kids are grown. I have a place to stay. I am self-employed, which I've always wanted to be. And even though it was empty before, and I went through the whole thing, and I got derailed and went to plan A, plan B. So I say I'm in plan C right now. And the rest is up to God.
Couple share with me. Come over here. What glass represent your life?
Um, definitely the the second one, um, because a lot of things didn't go how I planned. First of all, God bless all of you who had a plan, okay? Because I ain't had no plan. I didn't. I didn't. I wasn't introduced to my current career path until 27. So that was the first time anything uh, lit me up outside of singing. So there was just a lot of aimlessness at first. But now, definitely glass too, because I've walked with God enough to know that He is who He says He is. Um, but I don't think I'm at the place of wholeness as of yet. I'm still, I'm still like, all right, I done laid, you know, 1, 2, 3, and 4 down. I'm at the point of laying 5 and 6 down, and so I'm tentatively trusting God and being real before Him, so that He can do what He needs to do. So, but yeah, I look forward to the full glass, because this uncertainty is something.
I guess we can say that I can say the middle one, but I feel like in my life, um, I would have been a lot further along, if I didn't get in my own way, So I feel like, a lot of times we um, say, Lord, why is this happening to me? And why? But a lot of times it's the decisions that we make, it's our own fault. Yeah, and so and I don't know about the whole full thing because I'm like, Lord, do we ever get there? I don't know. Maybe it's a lifetime to get to that full place. I don't know. But I would say, I'm working on that, the middle one. That's what I'm working on, to be filled with the Holy Spirit and God's will for my life.
I got a curve for you guys. I got a curveball for you guys. I'm hearing, I'm listening. Yep, I'm listening.
I'm gonna. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm gonna put it in the terms of it's all about perspective. I definitely have to. I could solidly associate it with the middle one. I'm always hungry, and I don't think we ever get to a point where we're completely satisfied, especially with God in your life. Circumstances will happen. It's not gonna happen the way you plan. Plan A is doomed for failure. Let's put it like that. You can give it to God. Remember, your plans and His are different. So when you think about where you want to, I don't think anybody who set out to do this, even if they got everything they planned, it went exactly like that. Moses is a key example. So when it comes to looking at my life, I would associate it with the middle because I've accomplished a lot of things, but there's more that I'd like to go ahead and obtain. Grace the whole way. I'm for what there, and I say that because where I wanted to go, I can see how God said no, and I can see how God said, try this. And it takes a maturity of Christian listening to make sure I got to remember, I got to be full enough to have the fuel to get where I'm going, but humble enough to keep it open for suggestions so I can follow. So definitely the middle one would be the one I have. Moses was a prince in the palace. He thought his life was set. And he was taken to the farthest reaches of what he did not know. He basically had to be re-educated. The glass was half full. He might have looked at it as half empty, but God said, I got a little something more for you to learn. Turn him from a prince to a preacher. And then once he got back to the palace, he was a completely different man. Not representing himself, but representing God. Led his people. And still had to be humble enough to be taught a lesson in spite of his growth. So when we look at it in our life, we don't know how life is going to turn when God steps in it. But we have to be humble and willing enough to be used so that we can still learn the lessons we need to be taught so that we can reflect what God wants us to be.
He touched on Moses. You know, what was Moses in Egypt? Prince, which is what exactly? What position? Ah. So, what was the message that God sent Moses to tell Pharaoh? What was Moses before that? Huh? Before, not yeah, right. Before he became this evangelist now, this preacher, so to speak. Not somebody, but he was second in command. So he was second, and he became that too. He was a prince, right? So he went to tell who to let his people go? Pharaoh. But what Pharaoh was it? So if he was, huh?
Moses grew up in the house together. So God had to put someone, this message that Pharaoh received doesn't come from a stranger. It came from a brother. God had set up his sermon well before it got there, so he could give even Pharaoh the opportunity to listen. It was up to Pharaoh to make the decision.
Why did the plagues come upon Egypt? The plagues. What? Huh? Rebellious. And if Pharaoh would have done this one thing, which was what? Then it wouldn't have been what? Okay. Huh? So you see a lot of repercussions and consequences from that.
Well, when you ask that question, why did the plagues come upon Pharaoh? It could have stopped at the first one, but it was the acknowledgement of who was more powerful. Pharaoh would not humble himself because he was viewed by his people as a god. It was about the first commandment God had to teach his people. He set himself up above God, and he had the children of Israel worshiping him in slavery. And this was a empowerment of God, our God, showing their God in all of the plagues that represented the gods that they worshiped, who was the supreme God.
I'm gonna stop you there. So the thing is that God sent Moses to tell Pharaoh, which essentially was his stepbrother or something, it's a king brother, but he was raised by the king, that Pharaoh's sister. That was his sister child. So you can say there was family, So he went to tell him, even though he high ranked the Pharaoh's own son, to let his people go. Now the plague came on Egypt because Pharaoh didn't do this, but now mind you that the first Pharaoh that he grew up under had died. So if God really wanted Pharaoh to let his people go, all he had to do was let Moses be what?
King.
He was number two. He ended up telling the person that became the Pharaoh to let him go. Ways are not your ways. Neither my thoughts are your thoughts. If God, all he wanted to do to let the people go was to say, Moses, when you get there, bro, open the door. Let him go. No one can overrule you. We've seen the movie Moses. So let it be written. So let it be done. Pharaoh was worshipped like a god, and so if all he wanted to do was to let people go, and so in your own life, you're like, Lord, if you bless me, X, Y, Z, I would do X, Y, Z. Just give me a little more. Put something in my cup. And we all say, Lord, if you do this, I would do that. And God says, what? No. And you're possibly frustrated. And I can imagine that may have been Moses' thoughts, like, dude, you sent me 40 years in the wilderness to come back and do something when I was already there? I could have done. But you can see that there is a life lesson at play. And so we see that God was working on Pharaoh's heart, just like he did Abraham, but he also worked on Moses' heart well before that event to humble him, to put him in a position. It was all about letting people go. God didn't need nobody. Have you guys not read when Paul was in prison and at midnight? While they're in prison, and suddenly everyone's bands were what? It was all about letting people go. God didn't need nobody to do that. So here it is now. that God has taken you the long way, taking you the scenic route, when there is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. We can enumerate all our ambitions, hopes, and dreams. We all got them. Some of them have worked out, some haven't. And sometimes it's the one that somewhat got away that you kind of chase the most. You look at, man, this, and you don't appreciate it. You say, I'm always thirsty. I'm always hungry. So you're chasing that next one. That's that drive, the motivation, never to be satisfied. And it's that one you can't really get. And that's when you feel like, man. And that's the way, what was this? I think Napoleon, that conquered all the world except this one place. And he wouldn't give up. And that became his doom. And so here we look at these glasses. It's funny to hear you guys talk about the glass that's half empty. Like, that's me, right? How many hours are in a day? Have you been a time when you wish it was 25, 26, 27, 28? Why? Huh? You need more, what? More time to do things. So if you're running out of time, which glass represent your life? Have you ever been at a point you felt like there's too much on your plate? You wanted help. You wanted somebody to go watch those kids. You wanted somebody to do their homework. You wanted something else in your life to help you alleviate the stress and the burden. I said earlier, perspective, what? Formulates value and dictates or drive behavior. And so we're like, I'm kind of almost there. Not really. But we are exasperated at the end of the day. We're tired. We're frustrated. We need a release. Calgon, what? Take me away. So it's based on perspective. We need to, I understand we kind of sum up our life, but really our life is based on many compartments. Many compartments. Some compartments of life you're full, you got it. Some you're empty. You're waiting. Maybe taking a new habit, a new hobby, or whatever it is, and you're learning. And maybe you got to a point where you're kind of taking some off your plate, delegate it, giving it to someone else. Your children now can cook, they can wash, they can do all these things. And you feel like, okay, whew, you got that support. So you're not feeling as you got more time to yourself. And so another time you feel like, I am hungry for the next opportunity. I'm not going to stop now. I realize I can accomplish and do much more. And so when we look at life, it's funny that the thing is that we equate or we value the glass that has nothing perceivably in it as having no value. As having no value. And so we kind of like, that ain't me. I don't want to say I'm a loser. I ain't got nothing going on. I'm empty. But in some compartments of life, you kind of wish you had that. When you want to wake up one day with nothing to do, no itinerary, no plans, no meetings, somebody calling there depending on you, wouldn't you value that? And so we're kind of waiting for a time where we can retire, say, in a good place, heading towards that, where you can just like, if I want to get up at 10, I can. Want to get up at 12, 6, whatever, you can choose that. And so I'm saying all this to say is that each one of those glass represent you. Each one in some area of your life. We want more, and sometimes we got too much. And sometimes we're trying to find that balance in the middle. And so a lot of times, even in having, when they say more money, more problems. The famous rapper said, I got 99 problems, and what? Money ain't one of them. Right? Sorry, I was talking to the church first. I didn't mean to take y'all there. But the thing is that we can a blessing. You say, here's what I understand about myself and understand how the enemy works. We look at not having as sometimes being a curse, and we look at a person that have as being blessed. And so David wondered why the wicked was prospering. Say, hold on. They ain't trying to worship. They worship idols. Anybody supposed to be blessed is me, your boy. And God said, oh, don't worry about that. See here where I met your enemy, your footstool. The wealth of the rich is stored for the righteous. You feel me? And so a lot of times we wonder, like, why everybody else is being blessed around you. And so anybody here understand the game of pool? A pool. So this is billiards pool. You got 15 balls on the table, different colors, and you have this one ball in the middle called the 8-ball, and the goal is to do what in this game? Get what? Put the balls in the pocket. That's very simplistic. Yeah, put the balls in the pocket. You can take them, put them in my hand in the pocket. Game over, right? No. Okay. So Jesus told the story, a parable. He says, easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to what? Into the kingdom of heaven, right? So I'm gonna ask you the question here. Who has an easier journey to heaven, a rich man or a poor man? Poor man, rich man or poor? Raise your hand if you think it's rich man. Easier journey to heaven. He says easier for the camel to go through out than a rich man to go to heaven and to the kingdom, right? So I asked him, which one has an easier journey, the rich man or the poor man? Right. You saying poor man. Raise your hand for poor man. Popos, for the popo. Okay. So raise your hand for the rich person. Okay. Now, it's funny that you said that. Now, Christ would say, go sell all that you had. How much would you do that? If it's poor, I just asked a question. You give me the answer. I say, which one has the easier journey to get to heaven? The rich one.
Well, I mean, we got to look at it.
Hold on, one at a time, because I love the commentary. That mic around somebody. We're going to keep it on there. I'll share my.
I think you have to exercise more self-restraint when you have the means to go after and when you have to go after. You're gone. Bye. When you have to go after, when you have the means to go after whatever it is that you want, and even if it's to your detriment. So it takes more self-restraint rather than, if you don't have the means to go after what you want, the choice is not, it's not yours. The ball's not in your court. So there's no, self-regulation, the exercise of will when you ain't got the funds to play anyway.
So, so the poor man, because the rich man, to be honest, they've hurt more people because of their power and their wealth. Their responsibility is greater. And, I'll be honest with you, they've committed, they've done more things, and they're more powerful, more responsible.
Okay, so I get the generalization. I got you.
Right,
So you saying a rich man. Go ahead, brother.
Well, you got to see what God did.
Huh?
You got to see what God did. Who did he ask it to? The question you asked, who did he ask it to? Rich young ruler, right?
No,
Then-
not the rich young ruler. He was asking that question to him.
That question, that question that
He
you
was telling
asked,
Pepper, say it's easier
give
for.
up. No, he said that after, but he said what you asked. If you give up everything you have and follow
Right,
me,
that part there.
that came before.
Yeah,
What
but I'm
you-
talking about. Go ahead, just to give me an answer. Go ahead in terms of the. Right, when it says easier for the camera to go to that. Okay, go ahead, but go ahead and tell me your response. Go.
Because some people look at it in two ways. Well, it's
Mhm.
bad to be rich, or it's what about you being poor? A poor man has nothing to lose. A rich man has what he's earned, and he feels he has everything to lose. So it's about how if you know how to earn it, you're gonna feel like, well, I don't have to listen to someone or be humble enough to listen to God.
Mm-hmm.
And God knows your heart to feel like I'm not going to listen to you if I have everything. Even institutions have that same guideline. If you make so much, why do you want to listen to me? It's about where your heart is. A poor man, if he has to earn that, he has to listen to someone. He has to work his way up to earn that. He has to check in or clock in
Okay.
every day. But the goal is this: what God wants us to understand is, for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle, that means you have to give a lot up and lose a lot of weight in order to fit. Can you give up self to go that? Because the eye of a needle matches the same road that we have to get to heaven, narrow. We can go give up everything, but you'll have to follow God to do it. And what he's asking, think of the wealth of people who God has blessed. Abraham was able to do it because he followed God. Job was able to do it because he followed God. Joseph was able to do it because he followed God. But on the flip side, Pharaoh couldn't. We have also rich young ruler who couldn't do it. We have Herod who couldn't do it.
Okay. I get your point. So let me reel you in, because like I tell you, with me, it's nothing as it seems. Nothing is as it seems, because tell me this: why you guys base your answer on the rich man or the poor man? Go ahead. You want to answer? Go ahead. Huh?
I wanted to make a comment before. Basically, I don't think I could answer the question based on rich and poor. I think I need to add a little bit more. If I have a poor man and a broken rich man, somebody's broken and their money means nothing to them. You see what I mean? That's a whole different ball game.
Okay.
So that's why I don't think I could just go
Right.
rich
It was
and
just enough to get you to figure out how you want to go with it, but all of the dynamics wasn't spelled out. So I get you.
Yeah.
So how you want to look at it? So I said before, perspective, what formulates value and drives behavior. So many people would think that the rich person would have a harder road to go to heaven versus a poor man, based on what Christ said. Right? But what was Christ comparing? A camel and a rich man. He never compared a rich man and a poor man. So we automatically think that it's got to be that guy. But all of us here are trying to get to a point where we like that brother, right? We're all trying to get to that point. And so the thing is that when you understand the game of pool, there's solid stripes, high balls, and low ball. I know women, you may not be familiar with this, so I'm gonna try to spread it out. So there's 15 balls. There are some that are solid colors, and there's some that stripes. So when the game starts, before the game starts, you don't have high balls or low balls, solid or stripes. So when the ball is pocketed, then that becomes your set of balls. And you have to knock in all the solid balls to get to the 8 ball, which is the black ball. Person that clears all their ball first and sink the 8 ball wins the game. Could be the person with the stripes. But the challenge is the same: to sink all your balls and to get to the 8 ball. So here's where perspective come into play. Neither one of them has an easier road. Neither one. You know why? Satan never looked at anyone and said, you're untouchable. Satan doesn't give up if you're rich, and he doesn't give up if you're poor, because he's going to multiply your problems. He had the disciples, 12 of them, the closest they could be to anybody on this earth, follow Christ. And all of them had problems. He never said you're too holy. He never said you're too young. I can't, expose you to drugs and sex. He never said you're too old. I can't expose you to drugs and sex. He never gives up. So the road, so it's in the game of life, we either got solids or high, but all that we're trying to do is work our way to Jesus. That's the 8 ball. You're poor, you got problem. You're rich, you got problem. It's will you give it over to Jesus? And when you work through your problem, not through yourself, but by the guidance of the Spirit, you'll work your way to Jesus. It says they came to Jesus and said, I would but see Jesus. And they were hindered them. Christ was telling them, suffer not the little children to come to me, bid them to come to me. And so in life, all we're trying to do is work our way through to Jesus. And I can tell you, he's not going to pave the road, Satan, to make it easy, no matter what your status. Paul says this in Romans, I think it's the 7th, 8th chapter. He says, the things that I want to do, that I do not. The things that I hate, that I do. What was Paul? Christian, an evangelist. You can say he wrote 27, he can be the conference president or the GFC. Yeah, but I'm saying is he had this high visible position, and here this brother is, because we in life, we figured the longer you've been in the church, the less problems you should have. Right or wrong? You still, what? You still, I thought you were a Satan never gives up because you got more time on the church road and say, I can't get you. And so in life, there's always going to be challenges. I'm talking about a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. Sometimes you figure like, Lord, why am I still dealing with this issue, concern? I thought me and my husband, patched these things up, and here we are, back at the bar, at somebody's house. I thought we're beyond this now. And so you can imagine Job. Maybe Job had that life before God blessed him, and all of a sudden, things were being pulled and extracted away from him. And he says, if you take it away from him, he will curse you. He will curse the day that he was born. And we know the story, that didn't happen. But in life, it's perspective. You can take either way. It wouldn't be wrong. It's basically what gonna drive and dictate your behavior based on your perspective you take. Would it lead you closer to Christ or farther away? Cain felt that God dealt too harshly with his parents by kicking him out the garden. That was the seed of disobedience. He thought that Christ, God, dealt too harshly. It is. And come on, bro, ain't that deep. Prepare me an offering. What did he get? Huh? Somebody say it. What did he get? Okay. What caused his parents to get kicked out of the garden? You want to? Okay. No, that's not it. I don't want that. And so that sowed a seed of disobedience in him. So when he killed his brother, it wasn't born in that moment. It was born years ago. God had put angels with flaming swords turning each way to guard the way to the garden. And the reason we know that is because they had to have passed by. This is where we used to live. Ooh, man, I had waterfront property and all that. Real daddy, can we go inside? No, you telling me, my grandfather was from the Bahamas, and he would tell me about life there and everything. You felt it was Canaan land. So I'm going from his stories, right? And your parents tell you about the good old days, how things was, and you tell your children stuff like that. And it's like, man, that must have been something. And so imagine this is it, but you can't go any further. And so that welled up in something, and then you realize what it's for. I mean, you two ain't talking because she said what? Or she did what? We do it. We kick people out of our lives for sometimes simple things. And when people are like, man, ain't that deep? But for you, it makes sense. For you, it makes sense. Next slide. I stayed on this part a little too long. But the point I'm going to drive home is having a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So here's what happened. First one. This is my timeline, my milestone, my ambition. Graduate high school. Next one. Started college at 19 instead of what? 18. Got my first car at 20. Not a bad thing. Graduate college, 22. Now, stop right there. When are I supposed to get married, if you remember? Uh-huh. And so when are I supposed to start a family? Okay, next one. Uh-huh. Next one. So here I am. I'm in everybody's wedding, wondering, Lord, when it's my turn? I know I can skip the line and get to a point that I'm seeing others having juniors, walking their kids to school. And so it welled up a sense of frustration and bewilderment and puzzlement because I thought I was prepared. I was ready. I was groomed in the church, involved, college degree. And I'm looking for my career to take off. I'm looking for a meaningful relationship to happen. And it didn't. Next slide. So a part of my journey, I was supposed to be a millionaire by 30. And that means that I was going to be traveling and having possession in homes. Next slide. Uh-oh. Divorce. That was not part of the plan. Was not part of the plan. And here I am picking up the pieces again when I thought that was cemented in place. And so my expectation of life, one God, one faith, one baptism, one man, one wife, one family. And so things happening now. These are choices. My choices impacted and dictate a lot of things that happened to me. I was part of it. Some things I'm waiting to be blessed, some things that God said, you're not ready because. And next one. Next slide. And so now I'm looking like, well, I don't know when, I can't put a time frame on it. You know, millionaire, remarried to a point now, you get to a point you're so single for so long in your ways, and you're just like, maybe it's going to be this way. Maybe it's not my lot, or maybe, well, maybe, you don't know. And so we have this timeline, so you just rub your hand and say, whenever the Lord, and you women are interesting creatures. I'm not looking for it, man. I'm waiting for the Lord to send me someone. I guess I need you to sign for her, man. Never seen some Lord FedEx, Amazon, none of that to anyone. And so there's a part, and I can understand what you're saying. You say, I'm taking self out of it and I let the Lord, but sometimes I think you take yourself out of the circle to put yourself in position to be blessed or reap the benefit of meet someone. Next slide here. And so I had my expectation in life. And so keep, put it up again. Go to the images there. And so here's the thing here, keep going. When we're thinking that we're behind schedule, you know, and we need to hurry God along, we start doing some things and we see now we're running out of time, like the guy chasing the train. You figure like he should have been there, or some things held him back. And we're speeding down the highway, the speed limit 55, but it's like, no, I can't wait any longer. Time is of the essence. And next thing you know, we find ourselves being pulled over. And not so much in a literal sense by a traffic cop, but in life. When we make certain decisions, and it's like, I was looking to have fun. I didn't expect this to happen. And it's a wake-up call. Accident, whatever happened, and you have to deal with the results. All because you said, I need to go to, next slide. You're taking a shortcut to get there because in your mind, you're looking to experience something and help God out, so to speak. Maybe he said, Willie, it's up to you. Next slide. So no one is living their plan A, but everybody, slow down right there. But everybody is looking at their plan B like it's a superhero flying in to save the day. I just need to change a thing or two. I heard somebody say I'm on my B, C, D, E, Z, I'm at the alphabet and I'm now doing Roman numerals. And so here we are. Your plan A is to earn money for a job or business. Go ahead, next one. But your plan B is to get it through the lottery or gambling. First, you say, I tried it the right way. And you say, hey, we say it's about $1 billion, the lottery. Hey, I'm going to tithe. I'm going to start a ministry. I'm going to do this here, And trust me, I count not myself to have apprehended. So we figure we'll resort to other measures. Next one. And so plan A is to save and budget for vacation, to get clothes, entertainment, and to travel. Plan B is to charge it. And now you're building up credit card debt. And so we find ourselves indebted that we don't have money for emergency fund because we have mortgaged our future for present day value, entertainment, whatever it is. And so we find ourselves getting deeper in the hole. But for a moment, give us a good feeling when we can be on the beach is with our big hat on and umbrella drink and just chilling and watching the sunrise and sunset and going to exotic sights and all that stuff. It gives you a sense of pleasure. But when you get home and you find, next one, please. And so your plan A is to losing weight through diet and exercise. But plan B, high-fat diet allows you to eat everything and lose weight while you sleep. or plastic surgery. And so many people, there's so many diets come out, and I've seen them, lose weight while you sleep. You don't have to change what you're doing. And if that doesn't work, it's like, hey, I can go trim something off, add some more on. And so we resort to that. Next one. Your plan A is to date someone with similar goals, ambition, and values. Anybody had those that start off your plan A? What's your plan B? Plan B. Next one, please. It's where you're now lowered your standards. It's like they're Christian. They go to church, you know what I'm saying? And you find yourself getting disrespected, cheated on. Insecurities are tolerated. Your thing now is like, having a warm body next to you kind of mean more than standing on principle or sleeping on principles. And so we've made decisions in life to, let me just see. I'm just going to have somebody, an activity partner, just to go out and do things with, shared experiences. And then all of a sudden the relationship deepens because emotions get involved and things of that nature. And you find yourself in spending time and all that stuff and more entrenched now, because once the heart get involved, logic a lot of time goes out the window. Those emotions, it, you're a Christian, you're educated. So those dumbest people are the smart ones. I raised my hand. I done some dumb things in my life. Knew it. Read the Bible. Teach it, preach it. Wasn't immune from making the same decision you guys have made. Satan, when looking at me, it's like untouchable. Can't get him. And so we all have felt victim to a plan A not working out and trying to speed things up to a plan B. Go to the next one. So plan A is to marry someone in the church. Plan B, as I say, I kind of touched on this already. Looking at it first, they go to church on Sunday, they believe in Christ. We pray together, we still worship and all that stuff. And just to give that feeling, they kind of scratch it. Now, anybody want to raise a hand and comment on any of these things, go right ahead. So I'm sorry, I didn't recognize that. Go right ahead, speak your mind.
I have a question. What was the subject?
Say that again.
What was the subject? What was the title of your?
Expectations when life doesn't go the way you plan.
So my question is, during the COVID, a lot of people didn't expect what were going to happen.
Well, you fit those people who have family loss, or they didn't plan COVID to happen. They lost, well, they lost wealth, they lost families. So, how would those people who didn't plan to have COVID coming or the market crash that want them to lose everything they own? So, my question is, they did not have a plan to lose nothing. They didn't have a plan for COVID to come. How would those people cope with the reality?
How do you cope with their reality? So, in the message this morning, um, I'm struggling now to remember my title, Vision Casting on Mount Moriah, right? And so, as I said, every round goes higher and higher, and it gets harder. And the closer we get to Jesus, the more challenging and difficult Satan's going to make that experience. And using this scenario with the 8 ball is that we're always going to have to work our way through problems in life, right? You look at this, the individuals you're talking about, they seem to be right here. And all of a sudden, things happen, COVID, sickness, illness, cancer, homes being foreclosed or repossessed. And it's not because you didn't do the right thing. It's just measures beyond your control that you had no control over. And Satan is going to do whatever he can to drive a wedge in your relationship with Christ.
Hey, George, you figure it out? Who's bro?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, who's bro?
No, no.
Bro. We're trying to figure out this recording thing here.
Yeah, the person who recorded, I don't know who is it.
Right. I'll call Matthew and see if he can log in back and see if he can disconnect it because they're the one that did that. So